Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Jebber Game and Jaws here. Now today's video, I have a lot of thoughts swirling in my head. I have a lot of points that I want to touch on. I don't have any of this planned out. I'm just going to go at them as they come, and hopefully I'll be able to get everything that I'm trying to say out in this video. I'm going to start off by saying that it's been a few days. I've been playing my Xbox Series X. So the Series X I got on November 10th, so it's been quite a few days now. The PS5 is also out. That came out on the 12th. Some people have one, some people have both, some people have none. Of course, like with most generations of gaming, it's hard to get your hands on one. This was kind of a freak stroke of luck that I was able to get a Series X. Now, it's been very interesting watching online, seeing the reaction that a lot of people are having to the new console. Now, some people are saying, I'm totally happy with what I have. I don't need an upgrade, and that makes complete sense in some ways. Other people are saying, hey, I got this new console, and I don't even see the difference. I don't understand why I got this. I don't even need an upgrade. So I kind of wanted to address some of that. Now I'm going to first talk about what my experience has been since I've had this on the 10th. So recently I was playing on a PS4 Pro and a Series X. Now I was on the PS4 Pro for quite a while until the One X came out. And I don't know if I just said Series X on accident. I've been playing on a PS4 Pro and an Xbox One X. And the reason actually that I bought a One X was because it was slightly more capable than the PS4 Pro. Now, I'm kind of OCD about my game stuff. I've become even more so about performance and visuals, and those are two very distinct things, and you really have to understand that if you're going to understand what is happening with the new generation of consoles. Now, historically, when a new generation of consoles comes out, the thing that we look at and we say, oh my gosh, this is crazy, this is great, are the visuals, graphics, whatever. So like going from the original Nintendo to the Super Nintendo, that was a humongous leap in graphical capability. Going from the Super Nintendo to the N64, you were moving into 3D worlds, completely mind-blowing. It looked completely different. Going from the 64 to the GameCube, I don't know why I'm talking about Nintendo consoles, but you get the idea. So going from the 64 to the GameCube, totally just like took everything that the N64 did and made it look way better, but it was the same kind of thing. But it's humongous jumps. And then we go from, the generations before HD, and we suddenly are playing in high definition 1080p. So graphical jumps have been the ways that we have seen console generations and been like, oh wow, this is why I should get a new system. Now, something very unique has happened in this previous generation with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now, something that's unprecedented, that really hasn't happened before, especially not with home consoles, was we suddenly, halfway through the generation, they didn't come out with a new console. They came out with like a new iteration of the same console. So suddenly we had the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X on the market. Now, there was a big reason for this, is that suddenly 4K was becoming a bigger deal. And there were a lot of people who were buying 4K TVs and saying, oh, hey, I have a 4K TV. I want to play 4K gaming, So that makes a lot of sense. And that's why a lot of people made the jump to the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. So really, it's kind of interesting because we had our visual, graphical, however you want to say it, jump already. And so it's very interesting with these new systems, the Series X and the PS5, and seeing people's reactions. Now, my experience with the Xbox Series X, it has been everything I wanted it to be. Exactly. Like, I'm playing on it and I feel like I'm in absolute heaven. I knew exactly what it was going to do. I knew exactly how it was going to be different from the One X, and it has been everything that I hoped for. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, in 4K. It's a dynamic 4K, but really, I'm not seeing it go down much. It probably is a little bit, but it's not hitting 1080p. Like it's not displaying a soft image. If I didn't know it was dynamic 4K, I would think it was native 4K. Like it's staying very rock solid up towards 4K. And the better thing is the frame rate. Now, this is really what this next generation of consoles is about. This is why someone would buy a Series X or a PS5, other than for like down the road when exclusive games come. But as far as like right now on the jumping edge, the main thing that the reason that we're looking forward to this new hardware doesn't have much to do with visual upgrades, unless you were still playing on the base PS4 or base Xbox One. If you were playing on that, then you're going to get the graphical jump that we had with the One X and the Pro, and you're going to get the performance boost. So I think there's a lot of people who seem to be buying the new consoles, and they're hooking them up, and they're like, this looks just like my One X. I don't know. Like, why did I even need to do this? And it seems to me that there's a lot of people who are not even seeing the performance boost. Which is mind-blowing to me because I have become so sensitive to it. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, when I flip back and forth between those, the difference is insane. And it's not a visual difference. Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks just like on my Series X as it did on my One X. Like, the visuals are not any different. What is different is the frame rate. And so Assassin's Creed Odyssey isn't having a good frame rate on Series X because it is locked at 30 frames, unfortunately. But when I jump between Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which runs at 60 frames, and I jump between that and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which both of them look basically the same. The visuals between the two games are the same. It's the frame rates that is completely blowing my mind. Okay, so it's like a totally different thing than what we normally expect going into a new generation. Now, there are a couple other like benefits, like you're getting faster load times. That can be important to you or not important to you. The thing is I think that there's an understanding that needs to be had about why you might want to upgrade or why you should wait. If frame rates and load times are not important to you, there really isn't a reason. Like, especially if you have a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X, like, I just feel like there's so many people who are not understanding. Another thing that I've literally seen this. People have 1080p TVs still, and they're not understanding why their game systems don't look better. It's really tough because there's a lot of investment in order to get what you need to get out of these new consoles. Like, there are 4K TVs on the market that are cheap, and people are buying a lot of cheap 4K TVs thinking that it's great. It's really not that great. Now, the jump for me personally between 1080p and 4K is noticeable, is something that I like, is something that I want. It's a much sharper image. However, I would say that the difference between standard definition, or between high dynamic range and standard dynamic range is what I mean to say, was the much bigger visual jump. And that already happened on the One X. That happened when I went from playing on a regular PS4 to a PS4 Pro, and I never had a regular Xbox One, but as soon as I got the Xbox One X, and then paired it with a decent 4K TV that actually has good HDR implementation, that was when I had my graphical visual like, whoa, because HDR is so important. HDR, so here's what I first started noticing when I started playing games in HDR. When I would walk into a sunset, my eyes would literally be like, oh, like if you're outside and you look up where the sun is and it's so bright that it almost blinds you, that's the experience you start getting with HDR. The difference between the darks are super black and then the brights are really bright, and it's all in the colors and everything. And it's really amazing and beautiful, and I think personally worth investing in. And it's worth it, in my opinion, to get a nice 4K TV that also has good HDR. And there's a lot of crap TVs that say they do HDR and they really don't. It's really not enough. Like there's a spectrum of HDR, and they might be doing like very slightly, but you're not getting the effect that's really like noticeable. All right, so it's tough too because this shit is expensive. Like, so getting yourself a really nice, like mid-range, at least 4K HDR TV, and then a $500 console, I can see why a lot of people are like, fuck this, I don't need this shit. And if you're in that boat, more power to you, because you get to play on your PS4 or your Xbox One and your 1080p TV or your regular 4K TV, and you don't care about frame rates. And honestly, yeah, there's no problem with that whatsoever. But if you want to get into the next generation of gaming, or you're wanting to know why you should get into the next generation, it really, again, especially if you had the Pro or the One X, which a lot of people I think did, you're just not going to see the visual bump with the Series X or the PS5. You will see a humongous performance boost, but if that's not important to you, then don't do it. To me, I'm in complete frickin' heaven. I have been desperately wanting to move up to 60 frames for my gaming. Like, I don't ever want to go back to 30 frames. I can't stand it. It's horrible. There is one caveat that I must say, actually, that I'm thinking of right now with the visuals. Eventually, ray tracing may start being implemented. And if ray tracing is implemented on some of these games on the Series X or PS5, that will be a pretty big visual boost. But I don't know that that's happened yet. I haven't seen anything with that in it yet. So right now I'm just going with what I'm seeing right now, which is games are looking the same on the Series X as they did on my One X, but the performance is just leaps and bounds ahead. And to me, that's very important. If it's not important to you, you really might just want to like peace out for a minute. Wait until there's some exclusive games to next gen that you really want to play. You know, if you don't have a TV that's going to utilize some of these, even like the visual benefits, then it's kind of like, why do it? You know, I could totally understand that. But I think that I just wanted to take my perspective and what I see happening with this generation and try to explain it the best that I can. There's a lot of other people who understand this stuff a lot better than I do. If I was a super techie person, I would probably be a PC gamer. I'm not. I'm an average dude. I just like pretty things, and I like things that work well. So getting hooked on high performance frame rates is just kind of like, you know, okay, just give me something where I can buy it and it works well. And that's, to me, what this generation is. And I could not be happier personally. Yeah, playing on the Series X lately has been absolute heaven. It's what I've wanted for like 2 years now. I've been desperately waiting for this generation. And for me, this is everything I ever wanted it to be. All right, guys, let me know in the comments, what's your experience? Am I wrong? Am I missing something? If I'm missing something, please do point it out, because I want people to be able to understand. Like, it makes me sad to think of somebody going and spending $500 on a console, and to them, it's going to end up not being worth it. Like, maybe they should just go get a One X or a PS4 Pro and just hang on to that for a couple years, or keep the one that they have. And at the same time, like, if you decide, oh yeah, like performance, that sounds cool, and yeah, man, like that HDR sounds amazing, maybe I should upgrade my TV, maybe I'll get this new system and then I'll be playing in 4K HDR, you know, with a brand new console. Like, that sounds great. And 60 frames per second, I mean, to me, that's like, we're there, man. Whew, we're like firing on all cylinders, and it's looking good and it's feeling good, and I don't ever want to go back personally. All right, I think I've rattled on long enough. Jebber Gaming Jaws out. Have a good one, guys.